company and everything we're doing. So we're having it on a Tuesday, and hopefully everybody can join us here today. So as usual, we just put the safe harbor statement up just so everybody can read it, and hopefully you've had enough time to do so. Okay, welcome to shareholder call number 4 of HUMBL. The theme this week at HUMBL was jump into the fire. So there's a show that I'm watching, for about an hour a night on Netflix, and they have this scene where, the characters are kind of feeling like they're, getting uncomfortable. And so much of what you do in life is becoming comfortable, getting uncomfortable. And so I told everybody, at HUMBL this week when we do our Monday meetings at 10 a.m. and it started to be two slides worth of people on Zoom that you could just kind of tell we're entering a new phase of the business. So boat one fits all on one Zoom meeting on Mondays at 10 a.m. and now we're more than that. So I think we're up to about 35 or 40 people here at the business. And I just told them, we're going to have to press into, a new phase of our business. As I said to all of you, we hope to do the crawl, walk, run thing at pace, but that's what we have to do as a new technology startup. And so our theme this week at the business has been, launch product, get out there, fix problems, and try to serve the customer. So that's the theme this week, and we'll get into it here. So again, for those of you who are new, I know we have a lot of new people joining us because of the CNBC coverage today. We're HUMBL. We're building a Web3 blockchain platform for the digital economy. So we see a lot of lines of business and the millennial and the Gen Z consumer migrating to digital environments. And we think HUMBL can build out an Amazon for assets that provides people with touch points to be able to connect better across a continuum of blockchain technologies. And we'll talk more about tokenization and what that means for pairing up, formerly disparate types of behavior and things like payment or buy, sell, list behaviors and content, and how tokenization can create uniformity between, not only asset classes, but people to be able to improve, markets and the breadth of how we're able to pay and track and trade. So that's been our vision from day one. We're building it here at HUMBL, and I'll give you all some detail as our shareholders of what we're doing. So the mission of what we're building for the decades ahead is to try to create an environment where creators, whether you're an athlete, an artist, an entertainer, a digital designer, can connect with consumers and merchants in the digital economy. So you saw that before in other cycles of the web in the late 90s with the .coms, and we see that same opportunity to simplify technologies like blockchain for the mid-market here at HUMBL. So the 3 ways we're doing that are through HUMBL Pay, HUMBL Marketplace, and HUMBL Financial. We went and studied the Alipay business model in China, and of course they're using different technologies, but they moved with great pace by installing their pay programs at merchants quickly and skipping the hardware layer. They got the app into the palm of consumers for point and pay types of behaviors and other app plugins. So we learned quickly from that. Of course, the Alibaba Marketplace specializes in soft lines and hard goods. We are focused on being an Amazon for digital assets, and I'll get more into that, as we go through the call. And then lastly, HUMBL Financial, which again is also an environment for the purchase and investment of assets through software solutions that we've developed and that we hope to move to more custodial types of frameworks over time. So our thesis is that we can synthesize these 3 things into one platform for the consumer in the decades ahead, and that sort of the idea that has been blockchain can be galvanized for the consumer in palm of hand and in one click if we execute on these pieces of the business. So as we jump into the fire to roll out product, that's what we're doing. So what we've built at HUMBL in this sense is the ability to rapidly migrate to the digital economy. So that's picking up your cell phone, that's being a merchant that can perhaps take a credit card where they couldn't before from a traveling consumer or a domestic consumer. It's being able to invest in digital assets in one click in a way that you weren't able to before, or in market capacities that you get to participate in due to complexities or friction. So we're trying to reduce all those things and give people really simple tools to migrate to the digital economy in the years ahead. We recently have started launching product lines, and at the end of the call today, I'll give you all our launch dates for all three vectors of our business. But really what I'm most proud of about what we're doing is, we were the guys in the room at, South by Southwest with, couldn't fill a seat to talk about blockchain, and now here we are a few years later, and I my phone has not stopped ringing about NFTs or, these kinds of things that are becoming tokenized at great pace, and for which the consumer needs them simplified and packaged in the ways that the FANG stocks did on preceding technology platforms. So that's what we're doing. It's a really simple idea, and we're just really focused on these three verticals that, again, we see silo busting over time into one synthetic platform. So we thank you all who signed up for our ETXs. A couple weeks ago, trial by fire. We are not fully there yet on this product line in the sense that, we're tracking our customer service tickets. We know what we need to improve. So please keep the feedback coming on that. Launching complex technologies with 25,000 lines of code is never easy. So I really appreciate, both our front of house and back of house people that are working to make this product line a go. I think part of this was a demonstration to the market that we could package complex technologies in simpler ways for the customer. It's not where we want to be yet. In blockchain, there's sort of these capacities that are called either non-custodial or custodial, meaning you're handling the asset for the customer. And when we get into the financial section, I'll talk a little bit more about our hope for this, which is to create a true one-click buy and sell or list environment at HUMBL, which we think has really tremendous capacity as a behavior for consumers. So I'll talk a little bit more about that and what we have on the roadmap to move really quickly to get you into one-click environments for this stuff. We're getting some good press coverage. So again, thanks to Yahoo, thanks to Entrepreneur, thanks to Forbes, and tomorrow, thanks to CNBC for having us on. That's just been a great outfit to work with and get prepped with. As you jump in the fire, you say, okay, I always knew I would be on CNBC talking about an Amazon for digital assets, but I just didn't know it would be, hey, can you get on tomorrow and talk about this and send us some assets and things. So they owe me a couple of nights of sleep, but we're ready to go, and we really appreciate the opportunity to talk about what we're building at HUMBL. So if I was to take one slide in with me to present our business, this would be it. I think I can actually define entirely what we need to do on a placemat with this slide. It's about taking blockchain and distilling them down into these blocks, right? These units of measure blocks that will enable you to create this continuum of trade, track, list, pay, exchange in cheaper and more synthetic ways. So our whole goal at HUMBL is to create a platform where you can come in and invest in one click in digital assets. You can list or buy an NFT, or you can pay someone next door or around the world. And the wrapper that is tokenization and authenticated encryption is really a unique opportunity to do that. You have this sort of, this cycle where we came through hard coins, paper bills, plastic swipe cards, and now, soft goods and, hard goods can all be tokenized in ways that are more exchangeable for people and more, more provable to the buyer. So it's a really unique opportunity, I think, for someone to step in and do this in a capacity that's beyond just e-commerce and really stepping into that true Web3 environment of read, write, and then transact. So it's going to eliminate a lot of fee layers, a lot of middlemen, a lot of bureaucratic environments, but it'll be a little bit gnashing, but and there's regulatory and compliance complexities there that you have to navigate. But I think as a true state, if we can get to this where the customer knows that when they come to HUMBL, they can pay someone, they can invest in an asset, they can list an asset, it's going to create the same level of behavior that Amazon did in e-commerce for, order a package, get it to your door. We want to do the same thing as an Amazon for assets. So that's what we're building here at HUMBL, and this is the slide that we have to get done in order to do that for us and for our shareholders and customers. Okay, I'm going to break it down by division so everybody can see kind of where we're at. The three sort of emerging vectors that we see for service are consumers, freelancers, and merchants, meaning millennial, Gen Z customer, much more fluid. Brick and mortar has been challenged both by Amazon and by COVID. So you see some shrink there in the brick and mortar footprint, and we think the next generation merchant wants to get paid wherever they are, and then HUMBL can help them do that through the presentation of a QR code, the listing of a business, the mapping and discovery of that business, and taking payment in a more elastic way than you did before at the storefront. So the world's changing, and we want to help people migrate successfully to that digital economy and give them really simple, easy to understand tools to get there. The way we're building that is across different modalities. So I really have to hand it to Javier and the many guys on our tech team, both from a blockchain perspective, but then just sort of an architectural perspective about how they're thinking through this. Like I call this the travel plug-in model, where sometimes you go to a country and you don't have the proper power adapter. So this is what we're trying to build, where if you get off an airplane or you live in a place, HUMBL needs to look different for you in a mobile capacity than it does in another country. I think we're pretty well served in the United States and China in a lot of capacities as it pertains to modern point of sale systems. But you get out there and you start seeing the world a little bit, which we did a lot of before we built HUMBL, thankfully. And you get input from people that you meet and friends you make, and you kind of walk into different environments and see what they need. And I think this will solve a lot of market problems that we're seeing out there if we can get this into the market. There are still many countries that are over 50 to 75% cash, meaning paper bills or hard coin dependent for commerce, and we just don't see that as a sustainable means of joining the modern economy. And we want to make sure that you don't gap out there. UN 2030 talks about that a lot, where you don't want certain countries moving faster and adopting technology faster than others, or you get this extreme disparity in wealth distribution and tech distribution and all that sort of stuff. So we've tried to make HUMBL easy to pick up, easy to use. We'll cost it accordingly based on the countries we're going into, and try to build in some consumer behaviors that are just not out there in one place in the market. When you get down into the younger generations that are sort of cradle to grave digital natives, growing up with a tablet in their hands, they don't expect to go to 50 different apps to do 50 different things, or sit in a bank branch for an hour to do something. These are generations and decades of customers coming through that are just different. They expect everything to operate in a swipeable 360 capacity. And they're very open to new asset classes and ways of trading and transferring and tracking and selling. So we intend to build an environment for them. It'll take time. We aren't going to do this overnight. So if you want this to be built overnight, then don't invest in HUMBL, because that's not going to happen. But we are working around the clock, mostly because we want to get to market and serve the customer. So I would say that, I'm very proud of our team. You would be amazed, we have all these little cells around the country and around the world of people who are just working on stuff for the project. I'm just always honored by how hard they're working, whether I'm there or not. So this will get done. It's going to be an amazing product. We're already moving to production on a number of elements. In fact, the entire left-hand side, other than NFTs, will be a part of our build as we come out with HUMBL Pay in its early iterations. You're going to have merchants, point and pay, ratings and reviews, some search and mapping functionalities, and then amazingly they got the ticketing business plugged in there too. So I'll share more at the end, but this is the end state placemat of what we need to get done, and so on. I'm still a little bit on the fence about delivery. I don't fully understand the unit economics of that. I think in some countries it works where, you're in condensed environments, lots of motorbikes, and so on. So that's probably an acquisition for us if we do it. But certainly the three vectors on the left-hand side of the slide, on my left, are going to get done, and will get done well at HUMBL. So it's a full tech stack in the sense that the funnel is served, right? You go to the old school business classes and they talk about the customer journey and a happy path and the customer funnel, and that's very real, right? So we're building HUMBL for a search and discovery layer that, you find a merchant, find an event, book it. The search and discovery layer is really unlimited, and it'll include some mapping activity as well. Once you've found the merchant, we don't want you to have to go to an ATM to go and pay them and get change and then fly home with these coins that you don't even know where they're from, and merchants losing money and the only guy winning is the bank. So goal is to pair, and we call it point and pay for the first iteration, is to pair consumers and merchants around the world in this activity. You'll see us launching in certain corridors. We'll expand really quickly. We're talking to amazing partners that can greenlight our business pretty quickly in certain territories. So as soon as we shake out rates and path to market together, we'll expand even further than the country load that I'll present to you today. And then you get down into the consumer layer. So basically, that's things we want to plug in, like banking, credit, lending offers. You go to a lot of countries that we intend to go into to serve, and lending rates are just through the roof. It's just crazy how predatory this stuff is, and so on. So we're already in discussions abroad with people who, want to bring down lending rates and give customers easier access to credit. We all need it for something. But it's got to be, calibrated properly so that the consumer or the person who's taking down a loan can get out of that at some point and move on and up with what their plans are for life. So that's what we're building at HUMBL. Here's kind of a sneak peek of what we're doing. I challenged our team. I said, pull out every pay product and throw it out. Like, just build something that's really new and different. Go to Shazam, go to what Apple's doing, and let's feel out, Pandora. Let's think about how the next generation of consumer, kind of behaves and thinks and wants to appreciate product, and we're kind of building it from the ground up in that way. So HUMBL, it's going to be, I think, very novel in how we approach this category. We definitely tip our hats, especially to the US and Chinese providers that have built this category already. I mean, I don't have anything but positive things to say about what the previous pay providers have brought to the table. But I do think there's opportunities to give the customer a fresh experience, like Venmo did in previous cycles, by adding an emoji. So we will have merchant discovery, ratings and reviews, really dynamic behaviors that I think will be exciting for you. We're not going to be in every country at once. We learn that lesson with the ETXs. So give us a little bit of time, but we're going to roll this out properly on kind of a curated, phased rollout, just so we get it right and can do it well, take feedback. Javier and the tech team are super serious about getting their craft right. And, I'm not going to push them any harder than I do. It's just, it wouldn't make sense for me to go around burning everybody out to get product out, 5 days faster. So I appreciate them hanging in with me. I know we put a lot of pressure on the organization to ship tech, but I'm really proud of what we're going to do, and we have a great team to do it. So expect to see HUMBL in more places more often in the coming year as the recovery cycle begins. We'll do some personalized investing and financial push-throughs, right? We'll, accept some offers. We'll go out to the credit cards and the lenders and try to put deals together that make sense for the consumer, and try to serve you guys with stuff that would make sense for you based on, your initial behaviors, or just kind of calibrating for people what they might want just based on rate or price or competition. So we'll be working to personalize it as well as best we can. Again, our end state is to try to move to digital forms of money. I think you see in China, they're already moving to digital versions of their dollars. And We think that happens in 150 other countries in the next 10 years, and HUMBL wants to be there to serve the customer and the nation to do that. So, I think what's really critical is we went and studied the recipient point of things like remittance and credit and lending and tokenization. And what you learn is that if your recipient doesn't have a smartphone or is used to going into their local hubs to, pick up cash, lose margin on the Forex and the send, and then they hand the cash back, the bill as a proxy back to the merchant to get a Coca-Cola, some bread, whatever they're looking to buy. It's just really not a beneficial loop for anybody but the provider. So what we're trying to do is get set up in as many outposts as possible so that when you walk into a merchant and it says HUMBL on the window globally, you'll be able to say, okay, cool, I can point and pay there. But more importantly, the domestic recipients of money, if I'm in Utah and I'm sending money to my cousin in Samoa, like if you don't have a place to spend those monies that you're receiving on your phone at the merchant layer as the recipient, then the beneficial loop of digital is broken. So that's what we're trying to build out in these blocks of service to the customer. We're going to begin global marketing campaigns here on Friday for the mobile division. You'll see us going after the consumer and the merchant in these environments to try to serve them in the countries that we're going into as a phased rollout. So if you're a merchant anywhere around the world, look us up. It's really easy to get onboarded with HUMBL. It's I think a great cost savings to you if you're just taking cash or coins, especially coming out of COVID with the need for contactless technologies. So, do look us up if you're a merchant, because I think we can help you join the digital economy very, very quickly. If you're a consumer, just, if you download the app, please tell us how we can improve, what features you want to see. I want to load this thing up. We did not talk to a single consumer under 40 that said they wanted fewer features in the application. So I'm pushing our teams like crazy to get that going. And we also have some amazing new hires in our mobile division. So you'll see some changes on our website, to the team. I didn't get time to put the logos of all the people that we hired and where they're coming in from and this sort of thing. So we'll do some funding updates in the next couple of days, and we'll do some hiring updates in the next couple of days of people from Twitter and Walmart and just amazing platforms of people who are proven veterans that join us on the path. So we'll get that, kind of scrubbed out again. It's just, like I said at the beginning of the call, it's just, we're entering a different phase of the business. So, we miss our flooring company, but it's time. So, okay. So stage one is point and pay. This is the ability, again, find a merchant, pay a merchant, tip a merchant, rate and review, buy a ticket, get an offer. So again, point and pay. Peer-to-peer is more complex. We really need to be thoughtful about which providers we're doing that with. There's these amazing elastic grids that are being built out globally. And we think, just like the cell phone companies did, we have a really strong opportunity, just like a Verizon comes in over the top of these mesh grids. We want to do the same thing with digital payments with HUMBL. So we're working on that. It took us a while to do our US FBO banking relationship. So that was a little bit, for someone like me who's not particularly patient at times of getting things to market. But, we're there and certainly in discussions to move that forward pretty quickly. And certainly we have world-class partners that are ready to serve us into these markets and serve our customers together and our merchants. So again, the goal is, if you send money and you're receiving it, you have the ability to go somewhere and spend that digital form of cash, either in the form of what you've received or as these countries migrate to digital forms of money, which, as I say, China's first in the door, but we just see it coming down the path for over 100 countries. And we want people to be able to know that if their countries move to forms of digital dollars, or if the sender is moving to a digital form of sending money, that they'll be taken care of on the other side, and they can spend that money at the merchant layer, which is, how we all get groceries and book tickets and do stuff. So that's the end state. Okay, so here's sort of the launch factory components here. So role one would be United States, Canada, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore. So that'll be launching on Friday. So what's the date on that? That's the 16th. So Friday the 16th, we will be launching Discover, Pay, Tip, Rate, Review, ticketing, and offers in these countries. So we'll be testing it out, seeing how it goes. Give us your feedback quickly. We'll obviously be seeking to improve the product really rapidly. If you're a merchant, sign up for it. I know we've been pre-populating a ton of stuff on there. So thanks to everybody in the back office. Data input, not fun, but thanks to everybody in the back office. Even our executive team is mopping the floors and turning out the lights. So thanks for that. Role two, like phase two, will be a lot of the European environment. So hopefully, we can get out there very quickly as well. On a personal level, I hope to be in some of these regions in the spring or the summertime and to get off the plane and see HUMBL in some windows and on some counters. So let us know how we can move faster in your region. I'm sure, Michelle and Jenny and Karen and others are setting up, environments for everybody to submit what they would need to do to be merchants. So we'll make sure we tweet out that information. And, if you need something, let us know. We'll get you, stickers, QR codes, whatever it takes to get HUMBL out there in these environments so you can accept, contactless traveler payments this summer instead of cash. And then lastly, Brazil, India, Hong Kong, Japan, and Malaysia. We have a nice partnership that's sort of been purring in place with Bexus Brazil. We really like those folks. We see a lot of tokenization opportunity with them. So we hope to revisit that as the world opens back up again. I know some of these corridors have been hit by COVID really, really hard, as were we last year and still. So, as soon as the world opens up to our travel, we're going to be down there and activating these things in these corridors. So we'll get there hopefully really quickly. I just got my second shot, so I'm looking to get back up in the air here pretty soon. Okay, second division, HUMBL Financial. Again, just trying to make digital asset investing as simple as possible. We see the next generation as hunting new asset classes. They're super interested in NFTs. They're super interested in digital assets. It's not just, stocks and bonds and dividends anymore. So we want to serve the customer really well in this zone. And I think we're a pace setter in that regard. So we launched some things, a couple of weeks ago that I'm proud of just because we, had been working on them in the lab for a year and wanted to try to get them out there. So thanks again to, Jacob and Calvin and the others who are just doing really complex, cool work, Adam, and so on. We're going to be bolstering our blockchain teams a lot with hires and so on as we take in some money. So help coming to some of our blockchain guys that are working overtime. So we'll hire the best blockchain people in the world to help them out. And I'm looking at resumes as we speak. So send them in. We're actually a fun place to work. Okay, the whole goal is to try to get this into one click for the customer. Like right now, there's friction buying our ETXs. It's not ideal. I think we did really cool stuff in terms of layering on top of a Coinbase, which, is an amazing company. And we're just proud to be able to, tell the customer, hey, go sign up on a Coinbase, go sign up on a Binance, go sign up on a Bittrex. Those exchanges all have great KYC and AML programs. And, so we have no issue partnering with exchanges. In fact, it's, where everybody's bread is buttered in terms of, liquidity and so on. I think in terms of as a customer, you want to know you have liquidity and good service and, nice regulatory and compliance environments, So we partnered with Best of Breed in this regard. But our hope would be to continue to partner even more deeply with these liquidity lakes, sort of view them as plugins behind each module that you see there, where the creation and redemption of this asset, the immediate one-click buy and sell would be placed for you in one modality. So that's really our goal. It's called kind of more of a custodial environment or an exchange cloud, if you will, that needs to plug in behind it. So we're studying right now really quickly how we can get these into, creation and redemption blocks that would enable you to to move much faster as an investor in a synthetic environment. We want everything we do at HUMBL to ultimately get down to being one click. So, it was funny, I was reading Top Shot's NBA stuff, amazing what they're doing with taking the NBA on blockchain. I saw $2 billion of NFTs in the first quarter, more buyers than sellers. It's just nuts. It's very late 90s .com-ish in terms of some things. And I think, the bigger sort of marketplaces, curated marketplaces will win really big on top of those individual silos. But what I read was that the punt rate on people, if they said you're doing this on the blockchain, that they had a 400% better conversion rate if they remove the word blockchain from the purchase of an NBA Top Shot. So I thought that was just kind of a shame because it is being done on blockchain. So again, we continue to position to the market. We want to be a leader in mid-market packaging of the blockchain, just like the FANG stocks allowed you to, Facebook allowed you to post a picture and comment on the internet. Netflix allowed you to consume more elastic layers of content, more curated layers of content. These things weren't particularly net new. They just packaged it well and, gave people the ability to understand it in really intelligent bits. So what I'm saying to the market is basically, you have these sort of core units of processing measure that accompany tech cycles. You have minutes for cell phones. The customer understands megabytes for data. So, when you start to see blocks as this unit of measure of blockchain, don't be scared. I mean, your data is actually more secure and more encrypted than it was if it was not on the blockchain potentially. So I think, our road to hoe at HUMBL is to make sure the customer feels really comfortable in the mid-market engaging with the blockchain, because it's an elegant technology and it's something we'd like to try to be an Amazon of assets for. So what we built was a token engine. What we did is we studied the way Amazon harnessed all those little .coms in the late 90s, and put it over the top. And what they did is they built out a vendor central platform where anyone with sort of, modest tech literacy could come on and be an online merchant quite quickly and have a tool set of A+ content or, product detail pages, performance metrics about how they're doing on the storefront. So we see that same opportunity with what we've developed with our token engine, our blocks token engine. So we really see an opportunity there. This can plug in a limitless amount of places. So we've had conversations with large media conglomerates that might want to just tuck this in behind their content to do NFTs or to do some other tokenized behavior to give people, the ability to buy their portion, a 1 of 1 or a 5 of 5 of whatever they want to do. We think some movies will outpace what they did gross at the box office just by splicing themselves up in 15 seconds as NFTs or multimodal NFTs. So there's a lot of opportunity there, for our token engine, and we'll be, certainly putting that to work in a very curated sort of gallery versus theme park environment on our own marketplace. So it's something that, again, with blockchain, I think one of the things that's confusing for people is you have this sort of continuum of stuff that blockchain can wrap around. And as long as you just step back and look at the tokenization layer and not the asset it's holding, it gets easier to understand, So anything that's a media catalog, a physical asset, you can fractionalize and tokenize real estate, media, content. You're going to see entire movie films that get chopped up and fractionalized, and will literally outpace what they did at the box office. There's just so many 15-second clips or album covers that I can think of that, I'd like to try to buy or sell or list on our marketplace for the consumer. So lastly, we are building an NFT marketplace. It's actually further along than I thought we would be at this time. So I'm very pleased with that. Our goal is to start fewer, bigger, better. So thanks to the team that's been grinding on that. I've actually been able to be a CEO for the last week and go and talk to people I never thought I'd be meeting. So thanks to some of the folks in sport and entertainment and so on that, we've had some late nights. They do not keep normal hours. However, we've had some meaningful discussions about what digital content can be, and artists and athletes and so on. They want to own their own content. They want to digitize their catalog. The millennial and Gen Z consumer is saying, I don't need it to be printed out or a hard asset for it to be meaningful to me on a cost basis. So we think that, assets migrate to digital formats and that we'll be there to serve that. So again, gallery, not a theme park, growth through partners. I would be just fine with some of the potential partners we're talking to, doing darn near close to exclusives on some of these verticals. So we've had incredible conversations with amazing people that have done great creative work, either historically or currently or in the future, and they just want to take more control of their catalog and monetize it better in digital environments. You watch brick and mortar just get eviscerated by Amazon, and I think the same thing happens here to some of the analog content houses that just haven't done much to digitize for their artists and athletes. So I think you'll see a lot of artists, athletes, entertainers, and so on taking more control of their personal brand earlier in life, and being able to monetize that through these sort of NFTs that have unique value, one of ones, unlocks, 5 of 5s. We've talked to people about creating time lock behavior where they would get a recurring royalty every time it sells. So we're doing some really cool if-then stuff in this. And again, we're not going to just do this free-for-all theme park deal. I mean, this is going to be really curated. We will have very strong relationships with the people we're working with from a partnership perspective. I'm sure you saw us doing some stuff already with the Major League Baseball guys, not as an organization, Major League Baseball, but people who play Major League Baseball, that become shareholders in HUMBL and so on. We're finding athletes and artists and entertainers prefer stock to cash, which is cool. And they get great splits on this stuff. So there's really not a lot to lose out there. The one acquisition I am really hunting is a studio type of play. So we've had some calls the last couple of days with some studios, creative studios that do a lot of the trailers that you would recognize and a lot of the multimodal content you would see in sports leagues, hype videos and stuff. So I do have my eye on putting the stock to work on getting a creative studio, Hollywood grade studio in-house, because we're learning that the generation of this content is as important as our ability to tokenize and list it. So if we can create, tokenize, and list as a one-stop shop, I think we'll win pretty big. So again, we kind of elicited some of these test behaviors. I put a note out to some of the people that receive these photos. So I don't think it just ends in the digital environment. Sometimes you'll buy an NFT and you get a dinner with that person, or you get to go to the studio lot, or we mail you a authenticated photograph in the mail from the photographer. There'll be some things on it. So we started to do some testing around that. Big thank you to some of the guys we're working with in Latin America and the Caribbean out of Major League Baseball. We know some of the agents and players there, and these guys are super cool and up for stuff. So we're working on things, being really thoughtful about legal and, media rights. I think every photographer should try to figure out how they can get their stuff pulled down and have it be used in an NFT. I think that's really important. I'm sure Getty and those guys are talking about what they can do there. So we're really being thoughtful about, how we do content, where the legal side of it sits with the photographers taken care of, the media shops taken care of, the athletes taken care of very well, and so on. So we're being very thoughtful about that before we do anything live in the market from a licensing perspective. And then lastly, this convergence in ticketing. I tweeted a couple of weeks ago that I thought mobile pay and ticketing and NFTs were all going to converge into one thing. So I think people are starting to understand even better why we picked up a ticketing business. I would be disappointed if the tickets we issue are not commemorative NFTs. The need to go home and post a ticket on your wall, a hard ticket on your wall, is just not as visceral for the younger consumer. They'd much rather show you, over a bite to eat what they've collected in their phone and so on. So we really believe that the good tickets, will be multimodal and NFT quality in terms of their collectibles. So we're already starting to do some things with Tickery as a co-branded environment, and nice to see people back out there in the world. So we'll be, thinking about how to do that within a contactless fan experience. We think, again, we're pretty spoiled in the U.S., but man, you go out to these other areas of the world that are still, cash dependent or whatever, and we just think there's such an awesome opportunity to get into stadiums, festivals, concerts, do amazing NFT tickets, and authenticate secondary ticketing markets on the blockchain. That's an amazing just line of business for us. You think about, no offense, but a Craigslist or some kind of open sort of posting environment where, there's been some horror stories about transactions gone wrong offline. We really think that, contactless authenticated blockchain ticketing has huge opportunities, as do NFT collectibles. Okay, so just summarizing what we said, and we'll say it again. And again, thanks for tuning in. We're obviously very serious about our business, but we are also a startup, and really thankful that you guys are with us for the ride. We're certainly putting in the work. So HUMBL Financial launched, I believe, 4/2. We're in over 100 countries. Again, moving to one-click custodial as fast as possible. Like, I want you to be able to come into HUMBL, buy an ETX with one click, and come back in 5 years and see how you did. So that's our goal. And thanks for your feedback to customer service and so on about our non-custodial products. Unfortunately, they're actually more complex to do those products than the custodial ones. So we're looking forward to getting fewer, bigger, better, simpler products out to the customer when we have that regulatory capacity, and some capital discussions we're having about that as well. HUMBL Pay, we're going to start that phased rollout on Friday of this week. So that'll be super exciting. If you're in one of the nations that we're rolling out into, give us a holler. We know people in all those countries, and we have many beloved friends in those countries that we haven't been able to see for a long time. So thanks to everybody that's helping us with the ground game in those countries. Let us know how it rolls out and how we can improve quickly. And then lastly, the NFTs, I'll talk about that a bit more on CNBC tomorrow. But just, I went up to Silicon Valley in my mid-20s, and my CEO had been through the late 90s, and he said, be ready for yes. And what he meant was like, you can push on both sides of the door frame all you want about a market that you think is there, and just one day the market finds the handle and you walk right in. And that's been our situation over the last few weeks. Is this Amazon for assets, NFTs concept is just, it's amazing how much opportunity there is out there. And so we've tried to be ready for yes as best we can, rapidly scaling both our blockchain support teams and then also our creative studio capacity. So we'll be working on that, and I think that dovetails instantly into the ticketing business. Okay, so last thing, completed the reverse merger. We pursued M&A and country rights, secured that with the Chile test, which is fantastic. Those guys are amazing, and they're just going to open up the whole LATAM corridor for us. Launched HUMBL Financial, got our ticker. So thanks for riding with us through the flooring company, and again, just kind of entering a new, fresh phase of the business now. With people and kind of the products that we're rolling out in that. So it's been fun for this sort of crawl phase of the journey, and now we're into the walk phase before we run. So Q2 will be the mobile app. We roll some of that out. HUMBL Financial, of course, we rolled out in the US. So look for our ad campaigns around the world there. We're driving really quickly to peer-to-peer. The ticketing integration is actually already in there, so we're ahead of schedule on that. And NFT listings, I keep an eye out on that one. I'm not going to give you a hard date because some of it is based on who we announce with those midnight discussions are going on right now. And then Q3 will go, growth in key verticals, strategic partnerships, custodial tokenization, meaning just removing the friction that you experience signing up for our products. Again, I really appreciate, I think the ETX are a great product. I'm really proud of them. And I think they've done well for the customer so far. But I think, the more custodial and one click we can get, the better, in these sort of blocks, units of measure for the blockchain. And then lastly, I think, we're still doing the shareholder conference. I think, we're very, hopeful that COVID will be alleviated by then, and that we can all get together for a drink out here in San Diego or wherever we decide to do it. I noticed there's a new sort of like really cool white festival shelter down in San Diego where we could, maybe put HUMBL on the top and bring in some a high profile artist or two or something. But so I'm kind of starting to noodle that, and we'll do something awesome. And looking forward to meeting everybody. So I'll do kind of like a hour or two presentation of what's coming up for the business in 22 and the year that was, and then we'll go have some fun. So thanks again for everybody tuning in, and if you have questions, send them in and we'll try to get them answered and so on. So we'll post this material as always, so it's in a public format, and I can talk a little more freely tomorrow on CNBC. But thanks again for tuning in, and we appreciate the time.